Good afternoon, everybody. Bonjour. Thank you for joining us for this media availability with Ottawa Police Interim Chief Steve Bell. Joining us, the Chair of the Ottawa Police Service Board, Councillor Eli El-Shantiri, Deputy Commissioner Chris Harkins with the OPP, as well as RCMP Deputy Commissioner Mike Duhem, Federal Policing. Merci de nous joindre à nous à ce point de presse avec le chef par intérim de la police d'Ottawa, Steve Bell. Également présent avec nous autres, le président de la commission du service de police d'Ottawa, le conseiller Eli El-Shantiri. Nous avons aussi le commissaire adjoint Chris Harkins de la PPO, ainsi que le sous-commissaire Mike Duhem de la GRC Police fédérale. I am Constable Prem Singh and I will be your moderator. We will begin with remarks from our chair, Eli El-Shantiri, and then we will hear from the other speakers. Bonjour, je suis l'agent Param Singh et le modérateur. Nous commençons d'abord par l'annoncé du président Eli El-Shantiri et ensuite les autres conférenciers feront leurs remarques.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here today. We just took a drive with our mayor to check our street and to stop in and say thank you to our partner, to our members, the Ottawa police members, and all our partners. It was a good day to be around and see our street. It's been clear. And it feels good to feel back, we are back in our city, and we're taking back our city. But today was mostly just to say thank you to the partner who came as far as Vancouver to come and help us with, in the city of Ottawa. So on behalf of our city, our resident, the Ottawa Police Service Board, everyone, I want to say thank you to the partner. We could have not done it without your help and your assistance. So heartfelt to all our members who's been working tirelessly in the last 3 weeks, and we want to say thank you to their family as well, because it's not just the partner who do the job, also the partner at home takes some of that as well. So thank you again, and I'll turn it over to you. Thank you.
Chief. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Bonjour à tous. I want to begin by thanking downtown residents for their continued patience. They woke up this morning to fencing and a very heavy police presence through the downtown core. While I know that everyone is pleased to see many of the unlawful protesters are gone, this is not the normal state of our city. Despite the successes of the past few days, we still require these measures to prevent unlawful protesters from returning. After a successful series of operations yesterday, the number of unlawful protesters has dramatically declined in the last 24 hours. Last night, we continued to have major issues with a group of dispersed protesters in the Bank Street area south of Queen Street. Many of the unlawful protesters continued their unruly behaviour with officers who were attempting to erect barriers and fencing in that area. The actions of the unlawful protesters led to the deployment of an RWIN. We are not aware of any injuries. City crews are clearing and ploughing the affected areas. As I said, at this time, checkpoints remain throughout the city. We ask residents to respect these checkpoints and the officers who are working there. We continue to advise unlawful protesters that they must leave the area immediately or they may face arrest. This morning, 4 people entered into a secure area and were arrested. We continue to monitor unlawful protester activity across the city and within the region. We are seeing the site at Coventry Road currently being dismantled. At this time, 191 people have been arrested. 107 people have been charged, and in total, 389 criminal charges have been laid so far. These charges include obstructing police, disobeying a court order, assault, mischief, possessing a weapon, and assaulting a police officer. Every one of these arrests has a backstory. In one incident, a protester attempted to disarm an officer of their taser. Another officer quickly intervened and assisted that officer to ensure that the taser was retained. The protester was arrested and several criminal code charges were laid, including mischief and attempt to disarm a police officer. We are aware that the Special Investigations Unit has invoked its mandate with respect to 2 incidents. One relates to an interaction involving a police horse. The other relates to discharge of the RWIN. Any questions relating to these 2 incidents must be directed to the Special Investigations Unit. The Provincial Emergency Management and Civil Protection Act, as well as the Federal Emergencies Act, have provided support to our operation and its continued viability and success. My colleagues from the Ontario Provincial Police and the Royal Canadian Mounted Police will address this in their statements. I'm proud of every member who has been involved in assisting our efforts to bring this unlawful protest to an end. And I continue to be impressed by the professionalism of our officers, some of whom have been confronted with very, very difficult situations. We know that these unlawful protests have been difficult on everyone in our community. This has impacted residents and communities right across Ottawa. We promised earlier this week that we would clear our streets and give them back to our residents. We promised that we would return our city to a state of normalcy. With every hour, we are getting closer to that goal. Please note that our entire police service remains committed to the community healing that still needs to be fostered and focused on in the days to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. I would like to thank all OPP members, those in Ottawa and across the province, who have been working very hard to ensure safety and security of our communities. I'd also like to thank the Ottawa Police, the RCMP members, and all of our law enforcement partners from across Canada for the professionalism and the dedication that has been shown during these trying times. While we have all been here to assist Ottawa Police, the Integrated Command Centre has been an outstanding example of an effective partnership. It has seen multiple agencies working jointly to develop plans for this operation. The Ontario Emergency Management and Civil Protections Act, or the EMCPA, has given the police the ability to take additional action against those participating in unlawful assemblies, not only in Ottawa, but anywhere across this province. Interference with any critical infrastructure, including 400 series highways, railways, international bridges, and border crossings is prohibited. Commercial vehicle driver's licenses, private driver's licenses, commercial motor vehicle registration CVORs certificates has been suspended or cancelled. Commercial and passenger vehicle license plates can be seized. So far in Ottawa, a total of 76 vehicles have been seized and towed. These license plates have been seized from 36 passenger vehicles. Of those, 12 vehicles are from Ontario and 24 are from out-of-province vehicles. The Ministry of Transportation has taken action related to 36 commercial motor vehicles, or CVORs. Of those, 13 commercial motor vehicle drivers registered in Ontario and 23 are from out of province. Additional warnings were issued to commercial motor vehicle operators regarding their status. Deputy.
Thanks, Deputy. Good day, everyone. I'm happy to be here today and provide you with some information in relation to the ongoing events and wish to share with you most recent stats under the Emergency Act. I also echo Deputy Commissioner Harkin's comments of the incredible work being done here in Ottawa by everyone involved. As we have worked through this operation in Ottawa, we have seen the benefits of the Emergency Act. Provisions of this Emergency Act have allowed us to maintain the perimeter, restrict travel, and ensure that we can continue to choke off financial support and other assistance to protesters. We are working with law enforcement, federal partners, and financial institutions to freeze financial products of individuals and companies suspected of involvement in the illegal acts mentioned in the law. We are already seeing positive results, including the freezing of 206 financial products. And what I mean by financial products would be bank accounts, corporate accounts. The disclosure of 56 entities, vehicles, individuals, companies. The addresses of 253 Bitcoin shared with virtual currency exchangers. And the proactive freezing of an account of a payment processor for a value of $3.8 million by a financial institution. We continue to work at collecting relevant information on persons, vehicles, and companies, and remain in daily communication with the financial institution to assist them. Bonjour à tous, je suis heureux d'être ici aujourd'hui afin de vous fournir de l'information sur les événements en cours et désire partager avec vous les statistiques les plus récentes en vertu de la loi sur les mesures d'urgence. Je partage également les commentaires du sous-commissaire Harkins à propos de l'incroyable travail accompli ici à Ottawa par toutes les personnes concernées. Au fur et à mesure que nous avons travaillé sur cette opération à Ottawa, nous avons vu les avantages de la loi sur les mesures d'urgence. Les dispositions de la loi sur les mesures d'urgence nous ont permis de maintenir le périmètre, de restreindre les déplacements et de nous assurer que nous pouvons continuer à étouffer le soutien financier de toute autre forme d'aide aux manifestants. Nous travaillons avec nos partenaires de l'application de la loi, nos partenaires fédéraux et les institutions financières pour geler les produits financiers des personnes et des entreprises soupçonnées d'être impliquées dans les actes illégaux mentionnés dans la loi. Nous constatons déjà des résultats positifs, notamment le gel de 206 produits financiers, la divulgation de 56 entités, les adresses de 253 bitcoins partagés avec des échangeurs de monnaie virtuelle et le gel proactif du compte d'un processeur de paiement pour une valeur de 3,8 millions de dollars par une institution financière. Nous continuons à travailler à la collecte d'informations pertinentes sur les personnes, les véhicules et les entreprises et restons en communication quotidienne avec les institutions financières pour les aider. Merci beaucoup.
Hi, Chief. Thanks for taking my questions. Stephen Hoff, CBC National News. After it took you almost 3 weeks to get rid of this occupation, how do you go about restoring trust among residents and who expect you to move quicker? And how long should they expect to see the checkpoints and the increased police presence downtown?
So as I said in my comments earlier on, building that community trust and entering into community healing is an absolutely vital next step for the Ottawa Police Service and our community partners. This unlawful occupation of our streets has dramatically impacted people in the downtown core, but I don't think there's a resident of Ottawa who hasn't felt the hurt or pain that these demonstrators have caused to our city, to our community, and quite frankly to our society. Today, as late as today, I've been reaching out to community leaders from across the city to start the discussions about how do we start to enter into those dialogues, because they are vitally important. We know as a police service, we have public trust to gain back. We have discussions, dialogues, learnings to do from what happened and occurred up to this weekend, as well as how we reform, rebalance, and move forward those vitally important community partnerships, community relations. So as the chief and as representing every single member of this police service, we are deeply committed to the community healing that we know now needs to take place.
Hi, Chief. Hello. Thanks for taking our questions today. It's Joanne Quinello, CBC News, Ottawa. Following on the sort of, how long will the downtown be closed? I see that a lot of people are speculating that maybe there's never going to be traffic back on Wellington Street. Security at Parliament Hill has often spoken about that. Now that it's been closed for 3 weeks, and I know it is the purview of Wellington Street of the Ottawa Police Service, is there any sense that it might be closed indefinitely until we figure out, how to prevent this sort of occupation again? I noticed that there are truckers, there's reports of the truckers having set up down at Van Cleek Hill, so they're not that far away.
So one of the things that we identified early on is we had a deliberate, well-resourced plans and commitment from partners. I can tell you through discussions right up to before we came down to this press conference today, there's a deep commitment from our partners to continue to support us. Through the deputy commissioners that I'm working here with today, through the support of Commissioner Carrick and Commissioner Lucky, I can tell you that the RCMP and OPP will be present with us till the end of this operation. And we're not done this operation yet. There is another phase that will identify how we maintain the streets, how we eventually demobilize once we've identified that there is no threat of further protests coming to our city. We aren't there yet. We will, over the next several days, identify what the posture of the police services will look like to see how we maintain a presence and make sure that nobody returns to occupy our streets again.
Hi everyone, Andy Saint-André, journalist at TVA Montreal. Can I ask my question in French, is it possible?
If you can ask a question in English first, I'll make sure you get a response in
All
French
right, no
as well.
problem. you said it's progressing very well, you say. So when exactly, and I know it's difficult probably, but you must have a date, a time for a return to normal. I think people want to know that information. Thank you.
So I said from the beginning, we have a plan and we're executing the plan. The one part of the plan that we don't determine is the actual timelines of when we complete it. We began to execute our plan on Thursday afternoon, moved into an actions on phase on Friday morning, and you've seen the results of that over the weekend. I still can't say when we will ultimately be completed this operation, because we now need to enter into a maintenance portion of it to make sure that what occurred 3 weeks ago can never occur again. So we will continue to have a posture, protect our streets of our city, protect our community members from unlawful occupations like occurred, now moving forward for as long as it takes.
Ce que le chef Bell dit, c'est qu'on a un plan en place. On déroule le plan de façon méthodique. Le plan est commencé jeudi, est allé jusqu'à vendredi. Maintenant, on voit déjà les résultats qui sont très favorables à retourner à la normale. On a toujours dit depuis le début que c'est pratiquement impossible de venir à une date de fin, de termination de ce plan. On rentre dans une phase qui est connue comme l'entretien. On va faire certain que ça ne revient pas où ce que c'est à l'endroit où ce qu'on était rendu. On va mettre les ressources en place. On a d'autres plans qui sont prêts à intervenir pour faire certain que la situation qu'on a connue dans les derniers jours ne se représente pas. On est ici pour faire respecter la loi sur les mesures d'urgence et on va continuer avec la phase d'entretien. Il n'y a pas de date présentement qu'on est capable de porter à ça. Tout va venir en raison de ce qui va être présenté devant nous.
Good afternoon, Chief. David Menzies with Rebel News. Chief, can you kindly explain how it was that my colleague to my right here, Alexa Lavoie, was shot point blank with a tear gas canister, doing some very painful damage to her? What was the reason for that, given that she was simply practicing journalism in the public square?
So I'm unfamiliar with the incident you're speaking of. What I can tell you is that there is complaint mechanisms, there is review mechanisms that will be engaged following this for any use of force incident that occurred. I'll also say that it's been my observations and experience through the amazing extensive journalism coverage that's occurred through this, that the vast majority of our members have been extremely professional. They have executed an extremely methodical plan that has been focused on the safety of the residents, the safety of our officers, and the safety of the people engaged in the protest.
And Chief, just one follow-up question, if I may. Given that the Emergencies Act requires certain benchmarks to be met, such as the safety of Canadians must be at peril, the sovereignty of the nation must be at peril, do you think those benchmarks were met, given this was, for what I could tell, a largely peaceful demonstration and protest? So I guess I'm asking, did you really need to have this act invoked in terms of what were minor unlawful acts and basically bylaw infractions?
So what the federal government, the provincial government, both enacted legislation that was absolutely supportive to helping us to end the illegal occupation of our streets. What could be described as bylaw infractions were actually terrorizing moments for the city, the residents and the communities that came around those areas. The powers that were provided to us through the Emergencies Act, through the Provincial Emergency Act, through the injunction, and through any of the other legislative means that we got to end this protest were extremely beneficial in us being able to be where we are today, see clear streets, and have residents that can again walk through their downtown core that they own.
Thank you.
Hi there, Erica Ibrahim, the Canadian Press. If my recollection is correct, it was mentioned that 191 people were arrested, 107 are charged. I'm wondering if you can tell us about the remaining number in custody and what we might be able to expect as far as charges laid with them.
So what I can tell you is that we will, on a regular basis, update our investigative progress. You will see more people. There will be updated numbers in terms of arrests that have occurred as a result of unlawful protests and demonstrations today. You will see a series of charges coming out after that, and we will continue to update on our investigations and charges on an ongoing basis.
Okay, thank you. And just one quick follow-up. I have heard a report that police were giving perhaps a piece of paper or something of that nature to truckers or demonstrators as they left the perimeter. I was wondering if you could describe what that might have been.
So I'm unfortunately, I'll have to get information for you. I'm unfamiliar what that piece of paper would be.
Peter Hum with the Ottawa Citizen. I have some questions about protesters that are outside of the downtown core at the moment. I understand, first of all, with respect to Coventry Road, the encampment there, that notices regarding trespassing were delivered by police today. So I'm wondering if you could tell me, first of all, like what the situation is currently, how many protesters are there at the camp, and then what you're expecting from those people.
So as we indicated at the beginning of this, there was a methodical plan that was going to be enacted to take care of all of the locations that were disrupted by the unlawful occupation. That includes Coventry Road. Currently, there is activity by our members and activity by demonstrators to demobilize that area and ultimately resecure it by the city.
If I could follow up, there are also reports, as I understand it, of protesters retreating to property in Kinburn, and as well there's been reports in the past about protesters in Embrun on, I believe, private property there. Can you tell me what can police do about those protesters?
So we have active intelligence investigations ongoing to ensure that we know where people are leaving if they are trying to amass again to return to the downtown core. So while we maintain our footprint in this area to protect the downtown streets, we are trying to or attempting to keep tabs on those that are leaving and being potentially massing to come back. We will continue those efforts through our partnership with the RCMP and the OPP, continue to gather intelligence to make sure that these illegal activities don't return to our streets.
Thank you, everyone. This concludes today's media availability.
I'd just like to make a couple more last comments, if you don't mind, please. So, first of all, what I'd like to say is the media coverage, the participation from the media throughout this has been quite incredible. The documentation of the activities that are going on has given people the real-life experience of what's occurring out there. So for that, I thank you. I also know the media has been subjected to slurs, to abuse, to illegal activities to themselves. So we have one active investigation ongoing right now, and I would ask that if there are any more activities that need to be reported, please report them to the Ottawa Police Service, because we will take them seriously and conduct an investigation around those activities. I have to thank the officers that came here. It's nothing short of incredible, the people that showed up for us. The municipalities, the federal, provincial police services that actually attended Ottawa to help us take our streets back was amazing. But beyond them, I actually have to thank the communities that they came from. There are many, many people across the country that actually let their police officers go to help the citizens of Ottawa, and for that, I thank them. Finally, it's important for me to recognize the community. I talked about community healing. I talked about the steps that we have to go on to move ahead, and they are many, and they will be hard, and they will be long, but you have the commitment of this service to actually engage in those. There are many steps that we have to take, but they are going to be important discussions and dialogues so that we can heal as a community and come together. Thank you very much.